to a woman named Stacy Ford for her generous donation in honor of the author Bill McCall to support this event. This kind of support really strengthens our ability to offer programs such as this to offer to the community. So that's an acknowledgement. There's more details about the donation here. And Jen, was it 2 years? This is Jennifer Carrier, our community outreach coordinator, and that is Carly Magic. She's dealing with tech tonight. Yay, Carly. Go, Carly. I think it was 2 years ago we got the donation, and we've been plotting what to do and how to get more authors and author events such as this. And it's through that donation that we're able to do so. So we are really pleased to host Hannah Mary McKinnon and her novels. Would sharp tension be a good descriptor for those that have read it? How about precise plotting? The plotting, really? I sometimes have to make a little chart and a Venn diagram, like what is going on there? And bold characters, which I can relate to a little bit. Don't say it. When staff start, like, oh, we have another staff member back there. There's Katie Dawson. Hi, Katie. Hi, Katie's in the house. So tonight, this is going to be an opportunity for you to get direct insights into her process. It's an opportunity to hear how she shapes those stories, because I do often wonder when I'm reading any author, but when I went and revisited your novels recently, it's like, how did that get there? How did that, where did you take these people on this journey? How did that happen? And the suspense that builds, and then it's sometimes the suspense, you don't know it's there until you realize that you haven't taken a breath for about 6 paragraphs. Oh, suspense. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. So, without further ado, settle in, enjoy the conversation, and this is a chance to really hear how the author brings life to the characters and to the themes that are in the novels that Hannah Mary delivers. So, without further ado, Hannah, here she is. Here she is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lovely introduction. Please write all my bios.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't mind that. Okay. I wouldn't mind that. So the format this evening is I have sheets and sheets of questions that I sent off to make sure that they were those within the sphere of your work to really get some conversation going.
Yeah.
But before we get into the questions, we thought we'd ask, would anyone like to hear Hannah Mary read an excerpt from any of her novels?
You can say no. It's totally fine. I don't mind. No.
Really? Really?
You don't feel obliged to say yes. I'm happy to do it, but if I know very often people prefer the conversation piece, so it's totally up to you, but I'm happy to do it.
At any time, now, or even at the end. She's got a book open right there. She's like, can I?
Would you like me to read? Are you going to make me read the sex scenes?
Now we are.
Oh no, can't. No spoilers.
Yeah. Well, if not now, if not now, at any time through the questions or at the end, if you say, you know what, I'd really like to hear you read some of your novel, grab a book that you have or offer it up, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I've never done that. Never done the spontaneous.
Woo!
Whichever page, but yeah, that'd be fun actually. Here, read this page. Okay. I wrote it. I should be able to read it.
that expression that tells it all.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, so, well,
I'm ready.
good. Hannah Mary, you started out with like the romantic comedy genre, like the Time After Time novel.
Yes, romance.
And then thrillers. You shifted to suspense thrillers. So tell us how that happened. What was the impetus with the genre transition, and how did that work for you in developing a different kind of plot and story and character?
So we're starting with something really dark, because it's not actually the origin story of this isn't a particularly happy one. So I wrote Time After Time in about 2013, I think, somewhere, published in 2016. And I'd been playing with the idea of writing a book for a while. And an idea, literally, I mean, I say it popped into my head. I presume that I'd been thinking about it and mulling things over, and then it kind of arrived. And the story of Time After Time is Groundhog Day, the movie Groundhog Day, meets Sliding Doors.
Oh.
That's the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. So that is the love child of those two. And the idea arrived, and I have 3 sons. They were quite small at the time. I took them to an indoor playground, lined up, bottles of water and snacks, and said, "Go play. Mum's busy." And I wrote the outline, and I wrote the book. And after a lot of rejection and rewrites, and more rejection and more rewrites, I got a book deal. But as I was in sub club, we call it, when a book's been submitted and you're waiting, biting off your fingers to hear, I started writing something else, which turned into The Neighbours, and that was my first suspense. And as I was writing it, I realized that it was a lot darker, and that things were not going to work out for everybody at the end, so it couldn't be a romance, right? Because romance... No. The promise of a romance is a happily ever after, or at least a happily for now, which was not going to be the case. And I just thought it was pushing me towards the dark side, but I hadn't read thrillers. I used to read thrillers avidly when I was in my teens and early 20s. And then my best friend died, and that kind of put the kibosh on that. So I hadn't read thrillers for a long time. But I went to a library, waiting for one of my kids who had an activity there, and I saw a book by Jennifer Hillier, who you may be familiar with, called Creep. Big red letters, pair of handcuffs dangling down. I thought, oh, that's intriguing. Picked it up, read the first couple of chapters, took it home, read the sequel, read her third one, and it reminded me of why I love the genre so much. So I actually have thanked Jenny many times. And I met her in person at a conference, bumped into her, and I had a total fangirl moment. So I'm coming down the escalator, and it's Jennifer flipping Hillier. I didn't say flipping, I said something else in my mind. There she is. It's Jennifer. So I had the whole high voice, flappy hands, floppy elbows moment. Oh my God, you're Jennifer Hillier. And she said, "Oh, so what do you write? Oh, The Neighbours is coming out. Oh, you write suspense. Where do you live?" I said, "Oakville." And she said, "Me too. We should go for coffee." And I died. And we're really good friends. We're really close friends. So that's how that happened. Yeah. So it was an interesting shift, but a fun one.
A fun one. And I'm going to pick up a thread that you just mentioned about moving. Because I know that you've had a corporate career and you relocated to Canada.
Yep.
So what about those experiences, if any, that informed your writer's discipline? Because writing, it is a discipline. It's like make a date with yourself and your laptop or your pen, whatever. Yep. But how does that inform your work?
So there's a lot of things that I've been able to take from my corporate career. So at the pinnacle of my career, I was the CEO of an IT pan-European recruitment company in Switzerland. And we had offices in a number of countries. So it really was a high level, I was a big cheese, basically, which was great, but also very stressful. And you can't kill your colleagues, but I can kill my characters. Killing your colleagues is kind of fun. Don't do that. But I was always very, very organized. So my initial degree was finance and accounting, and admin, and then I did a bachelor's of business administration, business management. And I've always been really disciplined, whether it was homework at school or whatever. It's homework first, and then my parents didn't have to say, do your homework. It's just, it's done. It's just, a bit of a nerd, which is fine. And so I know that the organizational piece of staying on top of things and meeting, preferably beating deadlines, has definitely helped. And then the networking piece, the public speaking piece too, which I hated in school. Now I'm perfectly happy. It's really no problem at all. So there's many things that I've taken on. Just I think also the understanding of the publishing industry, the agent-author publisher relationship is very similar to candidate recruitment agency client. It's the same kind of similar setup. So that has really helped to understand that this is a business. Sure, I create art, yeah, but it's a business. It has to support people, families, including me. So all of that has helped immensely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And that leads into my next question. And in that, how does your original outline or draft, how much of that holds and makes its way to your final? Because there's got to be derailment and there's got to be distractions and discoveries throughout. Sure. So what's that journey for you?
It really depends on the book. So I'm an outliner or a plotter. We have outliners or plotters, and I don't like the word pantser because it's authors who fly by the seat of their pants, and it sounds like they're winging it, but they're really not, because they're plotting and discovering as they write, and one isn't better than the other. It just depends on what works for the author, what works for you. But for me, I like having a map. I like to know where I'm going, especially with at least one book a year. If I don't have an outline, I'm going to meander around all over the place and end up nowhere. If I'm going somewhere, I need a map. So I like to outline. So I outline quite heavily and build character sheets and character interviews and maybe a map and all kinds of procrastination things until I actually start writing. But then I write what I call a skeleton draft. So this really, also known, technical term for skeleton draft, is a puke draft, which we like very much.
Puke?
A puke draft, because you just get the words out and then you clean it up, right? So I remember when I
write that down.
When I started writing, I went to a writing course and they said, you have to give yourself permission to write a terrible first draft.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, why would I write a terrible, why would I hand in a terrible first draft? Well, okay, Hannah, first of all, it's not a draft for anybody else to see, it's just for you. That's why I call it a skeleton draft. So it really is bare bones. I've taken my outline, I've written the story, it's about 2/3 of the final workout. The characters are very stiff and wooden, there's lots of dialogue but not a lot of emotion, and I would never, ever give that to my agent or my editor, because they would disown me, because it's crap, because it's a puke draft. But then I layer it. So to answer the question, how much of it stays, it really depends on the book. So I write up in terms of, I write bare bones, about 60,000 words, and as I go over it again and again and again and again, by the end I'll probably be at around 90. So I'm a bit more, I write a bit less, so I might do 70,000 words and take it to 90. And some of the stuff, for example, the one I'm working on now, I was telling Sydney as we were driving up, I had two characters, a reporter and an ex-boyfriend who worked in TV, and then I'm through working on this puke draft, and these characters are going, hello? Hey, you're going to do something with us or what? And I realized they need to be one person. I need to make the reporter the ex-boyfriend. And that takes away a whole lot. So I had to go back and then change all the interactions with a previously female reporter and change that person into the ex-boyfriend, because it's way more tension, makes way more sense. So it just depends on the book. That's really a non-answer, isn't it?
I'm still stuck on puke.
Puke draft, yeah. Isn't that such an image of, and then you clean it up. Yeah.
That sounds like many moments of my day.
Yeah, because you can't edit a blank page, right? You've got to have something.
Wow.
So.
Well, and again, I'm going to pick up with something you just mentioned, which was tension, because one of my questions here is, what strategies do you bring to bear that you employ to sustain that tension? Because there are some of your characters, they're just spatting. Just when you read that, you just know that it is so thick. But how do you do that throughout the whole novel? How do you do that?
Well, part of it comes through outlining, and then as I'm editing, if I'm bored, the reader will definitely be bored.
Of course.
If I'm not, because you can't have tension all the time. It can't do that. You know, it has to be kind of peaks and valleys and a bit of relief, and then it goes up again. But also in terms of plotting, you know, you have certain points in a book. You have plot points and pinch points and midpoints and climax and crisis and then climax. So when I plot that out, I always try and make things that little bit worse. Basically, in a thriller, my job is to make the main character's life just that little bit worse all the time. I mean, you know, how bad could it get? Well, I don't know. Let's see. What else can we do? What else can we chuck in there that'll you know, ratchet up the tension? So, and then it's through editing, and of course, when I finish my self-edits and send the manuscript in to my agent and editor, that's when we call it draft 1. And I've probably read through it 10 times by this point. And that's when the real work starts. That's when the red pen comes out and I cry.
Oh dear.
No, I don't actually. I have once, I have to say, once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where I thought, I can't do this, it's too much, I can't. And then in the end, I put my big girl pants on and got on with it, but yeah.
And again, you've mentioned editing and the red pen comes out, and it just steps right into my next question. Because on your website, when you read through the website, it's lots of wonderful detail and information, by the way. Very good. You mentioned workshops and editing. So,
Yes.
So how much revision, I would say typically, but I know that there's nothing typical, but once the red pen comes out, then what happens?
So, I mean, I have my own red pen, not really. I mean, I don't print out my manuscripts anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore, much to my husband's relief. He said, oh, I'm going to have to get a new printer again. So I'll go through the manuscript probably 10 times, but each time gets a little bit easier and a little bit faster. And by the end, by the time, this is just before I send it to the editor, I'll send it to my Kindle. And I'll have my laptop and I'll have my Kindle, and I read it on my Kindle as if it's not mine. And then there's and it's a different way of looking at it too. It's no longer on the computer screen. And I pick up on missing words and things like that. You can also have Word read it back to you, which can be really helpful too. So I've done that a few times. But then when it goes to my editor, typically what will happen is there will be at least one round of what we call structural edits. So the structural edits are the big ticket items. So in The Neighbours, for example, it was, you have 3 point of view characters. I think you could have a 4th. This is what my editor said. This is my second book. And I said, you want to do what now? I said, oh, okay. I said, I think Nancy, that's the neighbour. So The Neighbours is the story of an ex-boyfriend who moves in next door. Couple haven't seen each other in 20 years, and they decide in their wisdom to not tell their respective partners with whom they have kids that they used to be lovers, and bad stuff happens, because of course it does. There's a suspense story. And so she said, I think we could use Nancy, the neighbour's, or the ex-boyfriend's wife, as a point of view character. And I panicked. I said, well, but where? How do I know where to fit the characters in? She said, don't worry. Take a breath. I'll help you figure that out. So we figured that out together. So that would be a big ticket item. Yep. In Her Secret Son, I thought I was being very clever, because when I pitched it and sent in a short synopsis of the idea, I had one point of view character, Josh. And as I was writing it and editing it, I thought, this is before I sent it to her, thought, I'm going to add in a second point of view character, because she asked me to do that with The Neighbours, and I think that might work. And she got the manuscript and she called and she said, this second point of view character, Ivan. I said, yeah. She said, did you add him in at the end? I said, yes. She said, yeah, no, he's got to go. And I think it was only about 10,000 words. So a book is about 90, mine is about 90, 80 to 90. And I took all of those chapters out, and honestly, you could barely tell they'd even been there. Wow. So why are they even there? So that again, that would be a big ticket item. Or move chapters around, tighten up the pacing, combine characters. It's the big thing. So we do a big round of structurals. There might then be another one, depending on the state of the book, or if I've done the edits, if we feel it's working. And then after that, I'd say with my editor, it's probably three rounds. Then it goes to copy edits. Then it goes to, so copy edits is more timelines and names. And I think in The Neighbours we had one character, I'd given them 3 different names, the same person, 3 different last names, 3 different spellings. Because she didn't, I don't know what, that's never happened again. I don't know what I was doing. Obviously I didn't know what I was doing. But then, so then it's copy edits and then proof. And proof is, you know, the commas, the spelling, the real nitty gritty. And each round is quicker and quicker and quicker. And then it goes to printer format, so what it will actually look like in book form or as a PDF, you know, on a Kindle or Kobo. So we read through that again. So I think by the time it publishes, gosh, I've probably read it at least 15, 16 times.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, you're totally immersed.
Oh, completely, yeah, yeah. And working on different projects, you know, so I also write holiday romantic comedies as Holly Cassidy. That's my pseudonym. I have 2 of them. Yeah. And last year, I had Only One Survives, the final read-through to do that came in at the same time as the Christmas Countdown, my Christmas book, at the same time that I was working on no, not The Revengers, that was before, A Killer Motive, which is this year's book. So I was going from one to the other, yeah. So that was interesting, but never really at the same stage. That there's always, so I'm not drafting 2 books at the same time. I don't think I could do that. Yeah.
I've got over the puke part, but now I'm on to, wow, that is a lot of organizing and your time and your energy and be able to stay with the defined character.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I know them inside out. So to the point where if any of my characters, maybe except those I've killed off, because that really would be surprising, but if any of them walked in, you know, if Josh walked in, I go, oh, hey, Josh, you know, because you know them so well. It would be weird because they're not real, but it would also not be weird because they feel real, if that makes sense. Yeah, because you get to know them so well.
Makes total sense for me. Wow, thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I'm going to say the word in mind again, so the phrase in mind. So do you write with a specific reader in mind? You know, do you go, oh, what does the reader want to feel here? Or what do they want to know about this character? So do you write with them in mind, or are you refining them as you discover who they are, your characters?
So I find if I think too much about the readers, then I end up being a bit paralyzed because, well, will they like this or will they like that? Or so I try. Yes, I think when I'm editing, for example, I'll pick on The Neighbours again. I have a hit list of words that and phrases that I overuse. And I realized that one of them was characters clearing their throats, which I wrote, I don't know how many times. You'll probably not be able to unsee it now in The Neighbours. Sorry about that. I was listening to the audio and I thought, if I hear this narrator, God bless him, say one more time, I cleared my throat, I'm going to scream. So that's on my hit list. Don't use that. But I also ran the F word and variations thereof through the initial manuscript that I had sent to my editor, and it came up 90 times. I thought, maybe my readers won't appreciate. So in that context, I thought I've better. So I think I allow myself maybe it has to be under 10. And my Christmas books are very clean. I think the worst word is arse hat. I think that's fine. I'm very visual. But otherwise, you know, my thrillers. Because if you're being murdered, I think you're allowed an F word, right? I mean, I think that's fair enough. So in that sense, yes. But I mean, I think more about the reader in terms of, are they going to be bored?
Oh.
Is this an info dump? Is it moving fast enough? Are they going to put the book down here and think, oh, I'll come back to that next week? Because with a thriller, I don't want you to do that. I want you to, keep flipping the pages. So that's more, I think, where I'm thinking about the reader. Will they enjoy it?
Combined with the discovery of the characters, it sounds
Yes,
like. Yes.
yeah. Am I giving enough information? Is it too much? But that comes in the editing stage. The peak draft, that's just for me. That's just my mess.
So when you guys get an email from me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I would want to know, because pacing, because reading your books, there are like those times I hold my breath for like how many paragraphs go by.
Yeah.
My word. But then you have like scene building, and then you have the relationship building, and you have cliffhangers, and you have like breaks to like the chapter ends, like you have a break.
Yeah.
But how do you manage all that, hoping that the reader will stay gripped and stay engaged? How do you manage all of those different devices and pieces?
So there are a couple of tricks. For example, I'll take the revenge list. That's Frankie Morgan. She ends up in anger management group therapy because she has anger issues for very good reasons, multiple. And there's an altercation at work after a client meeting, and her boss is her dad. And he says, "Frankie, sweetheart, you got to sort out your temper." And at the group therapy session, they're tasked with writing a list of names of the people they could work to forgive should they choose to do so. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Yeah, more paper, please." "Sure, I'll write a list." And she's writing the list, and she doesn't want to really forgive them because she doesn't like them, right? Oh. And then the list goes missing, and people on said list start getting hurt. And her name is on the list because she put it there. Her past self is the one person she can't forgive. Mm-hmm. So I knew that the what would happen to the people on the list would always, it would escalate. It would always get worse. So that was one way of increasing tension. But one of the tricks I used, and I did the same thing with Sister Dear, actually. I wrote the book, and then I got back to the beginning, multiple rounds of edits, and I thought, this feels a bit slow. Oh. This opening chapter, it's not that it's slow, but it's not gripping me the way, and if it's not gripping me, then how will it grip the reader? Mm-hmm. I thought, I know. I'm going to take a scene in chapter 50, move it to chapter 1. This is in the revenge list. A car goes off, it's 2 pages. Car goes off a cliff. Frankie's in the car. A guy is driving. You don't know, actually, I don't even know if you know her name at this point. It goes off a cliff. She is thinking about all her regrets, and it ends with her remembering that this guy had just told her that they were going to die. And she closes her eyes and accepts that he was right. And then you turn the page, think, hopefully, what happened? And it's 15 days earlier. So you then know she's going to be with this guy in this car going off the cliff, but why? What the heck happened? And then round about chapter 50-ish or whatever it is, you end up back at that scene. Yeah. So that was one of the tricks to use early. And then you said cliffhangers. At the end of chapters, mini cliffhangers. What end the chapter with a discovery or a question or a murder or something. Something that makes you go, what happens next? And short chapters, I find curious how you feel about that. But I've heard that I see lots of thumbs up, that short chapters, I guess that would be maybe 5 pages or so. 4, 5? Yeah, some in there some in there I think maybe a page or 2. But that helps as well because, just one more chapter. Yeah, so there's little tricks of the trade. And just feeling. I think a lot of my writing comes down to feeling what's working as I'm writing.
That's very insightful. I'm going to have to go back and reread because I have now new insights.
There you go.
How did that happen there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Thank
Pleasure.
you. So It's The Neighbors you're reading? Yes. All right. So it's Abby, right? Abby and the
yes,
husband.
yeah.
So they've had quite a tragic past, and that's a
Yes.
burden.
Yes.
So, but there's guilt happening, and the memory of that guilt. So how are you crafting that so that it actually feels like vital and lived in, and not just, hey, that's their backstory? Because it's palpable. It like I feel that those words are leaking out to an emotion. But,
Yeah.
And how do you do that? And not, otherwise it could just become, oh, they were hurt.
Yeah. So there's a scene there's a scene in the book where there's a car accident, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Abby's brother dies in the car accident, and it's a dual timeline novel. So you have present, past, and I remember writing that scene with the accident because she's trying to get her brother out of the burning car, and she can't. And the car, and that was it was really emotional to write because I'm very visual when I write. So I'm writing what I see in my head, and I'm imagining this. I don't have a brother, but I lost someone very close to me, similar age that Abby is in that scene. It was really hard. It was it's because it's very. I want to put in emotion and when I'm writing about these characters, especially during the editing phase, but even before with certain scenes, some scenes don't really change a lot. I really care about them. And I remember with Her Secret Son, I felt like such a cow because I'd put Josh through this horrible experience. I felt so guilty because I really liked him. He's all right. He's fine. He's doing fine. He's got his own. He's probably met someone by now. He's happy. He's settled. He's good. But it's.
So he lives off book.
Yes. Yeah. They have their own off into the sunset. But I think it's just a question of digging into emotion. What would this feel like in real life, and then trying to convey that without being overly dramatic or whatnot. Yeah.
Can you ever be overly dramatic?
Oh, but probably. I don't know.
Yeah, me too, a little. But yeah, the emphasis on that. I'm going to shift a bit. I did have another question about Abby's ex-fiance, but I think you answered it already.
Okay.
So we're moving on to Sister Dear. So in
Sister
Sister
Dear,
Dear,
yeah.
there's Eleanor Hardwick. Okay.
Yes.
So I would say that she has rather ambiguous morals.
Fair. Yeah, she's damaged.
Damaged, yes.
Yeah.
Damaged,
Flawed.
yes.
Flawed. Yes.
So again,
Yes.
it is how are you capturing and the reader, get them into the book with that protagonist who sometimes she's not likable sometimes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Don't do
Like
that.
don't do
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
not likable. How do
Yeah.
you keep me engaged as a reader to want to carry on with a character that
Yep.
morally
Sometimes-
ambiguous as
yep.
being generous?
So I like unlikable characters. I do. I like flawed characters. I don't like unlikable characters who are just unlikable who are just unlikable because they never left high school and they're still just mean.
Right.
I don't like that. But I like flawed characters where you understand why they are the way they are. So Eleanor, Sister Dear is the story of Eleanor who finds out accidentally that her dad is not her biological father, and then he dies. And no spoiler, that's really the first couple of chapters of the book. And she goes in search of she has a terrible relationship with her mother. Her mother hates her for reasons of her own that you discover as well if you read it. And so she's really alone. She's very isolated. She's alone. She's a bit of a loner. She does website designs and stuff, so she works from home. And she has no self-confidence. She has body image issues. She does not like herself. And she goes in search of her biological family. And the dad, who's very rich and this real estate mogul, tells her basically, go. How much money do you want? You know, what's this going to cost to get rid of you? And that's not what she wants. She wants a connection. She wants family. And she discovers she has a half-sister who is everything she thinks she is not. So Victoria is tall and thin and beautiful and happily married and wealthy and successful. And Eleanor just feels like a total loser. And so she decides to infiltrate Victoria's life without telling her that they're related. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. And so in terms of her being unlikable, I with any character, Frankie in The Revenge List or Lucas in Never Coming Home, it's really important for me that the reader, and me too, first when I'm writing it, why they are the way they are. Because if you understand why Frankie ended up in anger management classes, or why Eleanor is doing what she's doing, you might not like her or them or him, but you hopefully will understand them. And you will either keep on reading because you hope that they will redeem themselves, which sometimes they do, or you'll hope that they'll get their comeuppance.
There's a bit of that with Eleanor.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a bit of
that with Eleanor.
Schadenfreude there as well, maybe. So.
Yeah.
But that's really the technique that I use is really give them depth, and don't make them cartoonish.
True.
And don't make them all good or all bad, because everyone's a blend, right? So I do hope that people see that I work really hard on character development.
Well, great segue into my next question. Do any of your characters ever surprise you? Like, I know you're writing them and you craft and you edit, but do they surprise you?
Yeah, they do. Oh gosh, I wish I could say this. There is I won't say which book it is. I don't want to spoil it. But there is one character in one of my books who commits a double murder, and who has been questioning beforehand. You know, am I a serial killer? I'm not a mass murderer because that's at least 4 people in one event, whereas a serial killer is at least either 3 or 4, depending on what literature you read, with a cooling off period in between. That's a serial killer, right? Yeah. So she thinks to herself, am I a serial killer? And then no, I'm not, you know, because this person I because of this and this person because of that. So no, I'm not. And then she commits this double homicide. And one of the lines is, she walks out and the last line of the chapter is, maybe I'm a serial killer after all. I thought, where did that come from? What is wrong with me? And I start questioning myself. So they do. It's the dialogue sometimes that surprises me, stuff they say. And sometimes things that they do. You know, I outline, but I'm not married to the outline. Sometimes things shift. The neighbours shifted. I won't say why, but it did. Had a different ending in mind. So yeah, they do. And it's really fun when that happens, because I think that's when the magic happens. That's when, because I've been thinking about these characters and my subconscious is whispering, going, do this, do this. It's fun.
Do this, do this. Mm-hmm. Well, a little touch on twins next.
Yes.
So, yes, because when you're writing about twins and siblings and paired characters, because in your own biography you have twin sons.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Twins away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Twins. Yeah.
Does that personal experience with a sibling, like their dynamics, does that ever feed into your sibling characters? What you've experienced with your twin sons?
I had an idea once for a book about twins. And one was going to be good and one was going to be evil. I thought, I cannot. I just can't do that. That would just feel so weird. So I do have, in a number of books, I think I've had somebody have twins, but they don't feature prominent. I've never written a story about twins, but I might have a character who has twins. Mm-hmm. I think the book where there's the most about my kids is probably her secret son, That's the story of Josh, whose partner dies. She leaves behind her 7-year-old boy. Josh wants to get legal guardianship of the kid, goes looking for the birth certificate, cannot find it. So what the heck happened here? And this was quite deliberate. I put little Easter eggs in there for my family. So I have Matt, one of the twins, is big into art. So Logan was big into art. And then he had a little stuffy, a little dog that he called Biscuit, which Lex, my other twin, had. Not anymore, he's 21. Well, the dog's probably somewhere, but he doesn't carry it around with him anymore, as far as I know. Might do. And then they get a dog and they call it Cookie. So that was a nod. And then with Leo, I think there was something about Lego, and then I included Superman, pajama bottoms that Rob, my husband, has. And I remember Matt reading the book, because my kids, my family, some of them, Leo, who's 22, he's never read any of my books. He said, "It is weird, Mum." There's no sex in this one. No, it's still weird. No. I'll staple the pages to, no. Don't worry about that. But I remember Matt reading Her Secret Son, and he came up to me and he said, "Logan likes drawings. Is that me?" I said, "Yeah, it's you, babe. It's you." Yeah. So it's just these little Easter eggs.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sweet.
I've got to go back and read that now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find
Find
not
the
Biscuit,
Easter eggs.
it's Cookie.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
Biscuit and Cookie, yeah.
Well done. Well, so if you could pick one character who really challenged you the most, that was in the context of growth, and does the character grow through the novel, how do you weave and thread in authenticity for that character throughout the novel? What's challenged you most? What character you would say that was tough?
In terms of character growth, I'm wondering, maybe Frankie, because that was interesting, because she's angry, and at one point my editor said, "I don't think she's angry enough."
Oh.
And I was thinking, I don't want to make her too angry either, because and she's not angry for 350 pages. That would be exhausting to write and read. So we had to add in a little, some more, because I didn't want her to be, she's no longer angry at the end. Well, maybe at the very end, but there's that arc. So that one, Frankie, was quite tough. I think the character that was actually the hardest from a technical standpoint to write was, we will call him the man from the beach, and You Will Remember Me. That is my amnesia thriller. And I'd outlined it. 3 people tell the story. This man goes missing from a beach, never to be, well, maybe to be seen again. His half-sister, Maya, is looking for, Maya is looking for a man named Ash. Lily is looking for a man named Jack. Are they looking for the same guy?
man.
And what
Yeah.
the heck happened?
Yeah.
And he's a point of view character. So I've got it all outlined, and I open up with this scene on the beach, and he wakes up and he doesn't know who he is or where he is and all that. I thought, oh, that's okay. And then I got to his next chapter and I thought, oh, no. Because I can't give him a flashback. I can't give him a memory. I cannot develop him other than from the point that he woke up moving forward. And I couldn't have scene after scene of somebody sitting down saying, okay, man from the beach, let me tell you about your past. Because it's info dump and boring.
Yeah.
So that was a really rough book. That was Amnesia. That's author achievement unlocked. I'm not doing that again. I would never write another. Maybe, but not as a main character.
No.
That was a rough one. Yeah, it was a mess. My puke draft was probably still a puke draft when I sent it to my editor. It was that one needed a lot of work.
Oh, somebody liked that one.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
So you've spoken a little bit about this, but because many of your novels really do, they really hinge and are born by secrets and shifting identities.
Yes.
Or none at all. And deceit.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a whole lot of
bucket
deception.
loads.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So So when you're doing that, like why? What draws you to those themes?
What draws us to those
What draws your
things?
readers to the themes? Yeah, and how do you ensure though of every novel that, like, I know there's going to be deceit, but how do you keep it fresh?
Because every time it's different characters. Because all of my novels are standalone. There are no sequels. It's not a series. So it's always different characters, different settings, different what if or different problem.
Yeah.
Different dynamics. And I have this handy conflict chart that I always build. Oh yeah, I saw that in a book about romantic comedies, writing the romantic comedy by Billy Murnett. It's a screenwriting book actually, and it has this beautiful graphic. So you've got the point of view character in the middle, and then you have other people that they interact with. So it looks a bit like a flower, really, right? With petals outside, and you have say Frankie Morgan, the Revengeance, and then her dad, and whoever's taunting her, and maybe an ex-boyfriend, and her brother, and then I figure out what conflict is there. And you can't have conflict with everyone because that's exhausting, but who's maybe a false enemy, and why? So I build that when I'm plotting. I think, oh, so who are they in conflict with? And do they even know? And if they are, do they know why? Or do they think it's because, I don't know, they stole their sandwich and actually it's because of something completely, I don't know, whatever, I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
So, miscommunication or misunderstanding, I should say, misunderstanding. So that helps an awful lot to figure out who they're in conflict with and why. You're looking at me funny.
I'm just thinking of the characters, not because there's so much. There is buckets of deceit, as you say.
Yes. Who's hiding
duplicity,
what?
yeah,
and why?
Yeah.
The secondary characters, and also the main. If I'm writing multiple points of view, what is their end game?
Oh.
What do they want? Because it's probably going to be in conflict with what certainly the antagonist and protagonist is going to be in.
And in conflict with what I expect that character to do. For me, that's what keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
You just, I know there's trouble coming.
Yes, but what kind? Yeah.
What kind, indeed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Oh, yes. How do you approach writing endings in the suspense? Like you tie up loose ends,
or not.
but you don't. But there's enough, like, nothingness or everything all at once. It's ambiguous detail, which is a weird thing to accomplish. How do you do that?
So, obviously in my Christmas romantic comedies, there's a happily ever after, because that's the pact that you make with the reader. You don't bump a character off at the end, surprise, because then it's not
Merry
a romance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not a romance. It would be a love story, because a romance has a happy ending. A love story may or may not. So that's the difference. But romance has a happy ending. But in thrillers, anything goes. So I have been known to go a bit Game of Thrones on my characters. When you have a favourite character and then they die, you think, Ned Stark. Oh, if anyone hasn't watched it, sorry, I just spoiled the end of season 1 there for you. I was devastated. I like Ned Stark, Sean Bean. But with my thrillers, what I love in thrillers, I like endings that they're not ambiguous, because it's like watching a Christopher Nolan movie, who I love. Interstellar, I had to go and Google what the heck was going on because I'm not that smart. Inception, I thought, I think this is what that means, but let me see what the hive mind thinks of this. So I like endings where you can still think about what else is going to happen. For example, Gone Girl.
Right.
If anyone's read Gone Girl, I read that book a decade ago. I still think about those two characters and wonder what the heck has happened there, because whatever has happened is not going to be good. Be great to read about it, though.
Yes.
I love that book. It's a brilliant book. So I like endings where not everything is wrapped up neatly with a bow, but it's not ambiguous either, where could still be something else. But then the reader can kind of think, oh, I love having books that still follow me around, like Gone Girl. So I like that. The one I'm working on, no, wait a minute. No, A Killer Motive, I tell a lie. A Killer Motive is all tied up. That's the one that came out this year. Well, actually, no, it's probably not. There could be a season 2 if it ever got made into something, if that ever happened. So there could be, but it is tied up. But there's still room for more.
Well done.
Yeah.
Room for more. Room
Yeah.
for more. Speaking of more, with the rise of reader engagement, not just in face-to-face here, but there are lots of book clubs and there's social media. One year I was in 4 online book clubs because I was
Wow.
traveling so much across Canada that I didn't have time to stay and meet people. So there's lots of that happening. So do you ever consider how your novel is being discussed at these book clubs or even in the social media book clubs? And yeah, do you plant scenes that are going to provoke discussion or questions?
There are always questions. There are always book club questions in the back of the book.
Yes.
That we work on.
But as you're writing the book, do you think of that could be a question at the end or
No.
No.
That comes at the end. That comes at the end where I'm thinking, I wonder, what might generate discussion. But I don't actively think about that when I'm writing the book. No. And do I think about how it's being discussed?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you? Yeah.
No,
Oh.
because no. I mean, I love going to book clubs, but to be honest, I don't particularly want to be there for the critical piece. Because I was once, twice. I was on an online book club. And people loved it, and I don't expect people to just pay me compliments either. I mean, come on, I'm an adult. I know that not everybody's going to like my books. Some people will like some of them. Some people will like none of them. Some people will read half of one or a third of one or 10 pages and go, she's not for me. I don't like every book I read. I don't like every movie I watch. So I'm a grown up. Right. But if you post pictures of your kids or your house decor or whatever, you don't really want to read the comments and go, oh my God, your kids are ugly, right? You can do without that, right? So I was in this book club online, and this lady, she was very well spoken, and she said, well, I guess I'm the outlier here because I hated this book. I thought the characters were stupid. What they did was stupid. Nobody acts like that in real life. And I only read it because I'm coming to book club.
Oh.
And I sat there thinking, oh no, what do I say? And I just smiled. Her name was Daphne. I smiled and I said, well, thanks for giving it a go, Daphne. I appreciate that you gave it a go. I appreciate that you read it. But I don't like every book I read either. And hopefully you'll pick up something that is more to your liking next time. And I wish you the best of luck with the next book that you read. Now, does anyone else have a question about, say, process? Or so I kind of, because what are you going to say?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to say, what do you mean? And it's her opinion. She didn't like my work. And that's totally fine. But it did feel quite strange to be told that to my face. Quite strongly.
That's bold.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you? Maybe.
Could do, yeah.
Daphne.
You're done.
Yeah. Done.
Daphne.
So it was.
Wow.
So yeah, that was. But it's very nice. She didn't like it. That's totally fine. Yeah.
X. Yeah. So looking ahead then, because you do evolve your characters and your voice and your narrative. So, but are you setting any challenges for yourself in the next novel or 2 or 3 that you can share with us, that we can anticipate and look forward to it?
I always try and do new stuff, things I haven't done before. With Only One Survives, that was last year's book about a rock band. I know nothing about the music industry, like zero. nothing. But I have a really good friend who is an artist and repertoire band manager. And so I picked his brain, and I don't have a musical bone in my body. I was kicked out of the school band when I was 10. Seriously, I kid you not. I couldn't read music. I was playing the recorder, and I was always 3 notes behind because I was copying whoever was standing. It was awful. And they gently suggested that perhaps I should pick a different activity, and they were right. So I always try and push the boundaries of things that I've done. So it's a new, obviously always a new set of characters, but different situations, something that I haven't done before. So for example, in Never Coming Home, it was writing the entire story from the antagonist's point of view. So this is a guy who has his wife killed, hires a hitman on the dark web to get rid of his wife, because she's really, really rich, but even more annoying, so it's fine. And the entire book is from his point of view. And that's a big ask to take a reader on. This is a bad person, but not all bad, because he loves his dog, and he loves his dad, and he has reasons. And also, she's mean. So it's kind of, okay, kind of, but not really. It's ambiguous, right?
Yes.
So, and that was a challenge. And the one that's upcoming, I'd say, is probably my most personally challenging book yet. I'm working on it now. I don't know when it will, if or when it will release. I hope it will. But I'm writing a book about a cult, or more specifically, a young woman who finds out that her best friend has been murdered by his father, who was the leader of a cult. And that is what happened to me. So it's a direct lift of, not the entire story. It's obviously a different cult. It's a different, I'm setting it in Canada.
Yay, go Canada.
Woo. But that is what happened to me when I was 23. So yeah, so that's been a real challenge, because up until May of this year, I would not go anywhere near anything that had anything remotely, even a hint of a cult. And
of course.
I have been neck deep in cult stuff since May, and it has been fascinating and liberating, and very strange how now I don't have a fear of the subject, which I did before. We were watching an episode of FBI. I mean, FBI is pretty harmless when it comes to TV shows, right?
Yes, yeah.
And there was one about a cult, and we got about 20 minutes in, and I'm out, and I got up and walked out. I just could not. And it wasn't not like it was a doomsday cult or anything. They were just a bit weird. And I couldn't handle it. And it's completely changed. That one's been a real challenge, though, but in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Neck deep in cult in just a few months.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's going to be a wonderful read.
I hope so.
Oh, indeed it is. Yeah. I have one more question, and then we'll open it up to audience engagement, sure. and or if someone says, hey, read to us, then,
sure.
then that's good. But only one survives.
Yes.
Because you do have, there are themes.
Yes.
There are themes.
There are themes. The girl band one.
The girl band one, yes.
Yep.
And there's there's a lot of high stakes in that. There's a lot of competition in that.
Yep.
So how do you process the logic and the emotionality of, and keep that ramping up? And how do you keep that going so that, they, like, I want to feel like I'm in there fighting with the character. Like, yes. I'm going to go, that one, come on.
Yes.
How do you ramp that up to engage us, the reader, so that we participate in those the need to survive of your characters?
I think it's character development. It's so with Only One Survives, with these two young women who form a band, Madison and Vienna, and their first band is called MV, as in M for Madison and V for Vienna. MV also sounds like envy, which is a big theme in the book. They have this. They love each other. They depend on each other, but they fight. And I remember there was one paragraph or line in the book in particular where Vienna thinks that whenever one of them got a little bit ahead of the other one, the one behind would grab onto the coattails and just hold on as hard as they could. And it wasn't because they wanted to pull the other one back. It was because they didn't want to be left behind.
Abandonment issues.
Exactly. Yeah. Massive abandonment issues for Vienna. And then Madison, who, Madison's very wealthy family, Vienna extremely poor. Madison's parents are super A-type, super pushy. Vienna, she doesn't know her dad. Her mum really couldn't care less whether she's around or not. She loves her grandmother, who's always been a big person in her life. So it's showing that dynamic, again, of understanding why these characters are the way they are, how they've become the way, and how they then develop through the book. So I think it's really, basically I tried to make you care about them.
Yes.
Or if you don't like them, care about what happens to them one way or the other, I think. Yeah.
True. I have to go back and read that one. Thanks for that.
Pleasure.
So I'm going to open it up to the floor here and open up a conversation. Anyone have comment or want to know more about characters? Hannah Mary's processes. Their arms are up at the back. Woo!
I'll break it for you.
Bring it in.
Excellent.
Bring it in.
So we were talking a lot about character development and stuff like that. How do you not get lost in your characters? I know you say you care about them, and like you said, you can envision, like, it wouldn't take much for you to someone walking in, Josh, for example. But like, how do you not get too wrapped up or too all-encompassed? And how do you separate yourself from what you're writing in these characters?
I don't think I do. To be honest, at the beginning, yes, because they're very cardboardy and they're not really real. But as I get closer and closer to what I call my first draft, and then even more so when we're editing, sometimes they really take over. And I remember with Sister Dear, when I finished the book, and it was done, as in done and out, and no more edits. I remember Rob saying that he was quite relieved, because he said, I could see Eleanor was weighing on you. I said, yeah, I was carrying her around because she, I felt bad for her, and I'm thinking about her and what she's thinking, and so I'm not sure. At the beginning, yes, I separate myself, but then by middle end, I'm all in, all in. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm not sure.
So do you take I'll just keep going, I guess. So do you take a refresher after then? Like, how do you refresh yourself and get yourself fresh for a new character without bringing a piece of Eleanor into Frankie or so on and so forth? I know it's a different plot and a different outline, but that piece of you is still going to be with them, is it not?
Not necessarily, because I think once the book is out, and well, actually, I mean, I'm working on a new book and promoting another one, and it's not just I work on one and then I start working on the other one once everything's done. There's always various projects. But I interview my characters, so that sounds really weird. But I have this 3-page questionnaire where I ask them things like what do they look like and whatnot. I mean, the standard stuff. But then I'll have questions like, when were they richest, poorest? How much money do they have in their bank account? What would they do if they inherited 100 grand? That kind of thing, financial things. And then, do they believe in ghosts? I haven't written a ghost story, but do they? Have they? Because are they religious? Yes, no. What kind of faith? If they are. Where did they grow up? What did they study? Does it relate to the work they're doing now? And one question that Claire Mackintosh, you might be familiar with, the author, British author Claire Mackintosh, I love this question. What do they have in their fridge?
Oh.
Which is brilliant, because it tells you, is it 6 bottles of champagne? Or is it all veggies? Is it nothing? A block of moldy cheese? It tells you a lot about the character. So I do that, and that helps me move on to another project to really have a different set of people. So they don't end up being the same.
Interesting. You have it all, it's all here, all of your characters, which is amazing. You must have a lot of room up there. Have you been talking to yourself your whole life? How do you get the dialogue, the conversations? Oh my goodness. It's just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Have you been talking to yourself your whole life?
So if you asked my husband, he'd probably say that I do mutter to myself and wander around the house. One of my lads does that too, actually. Leo does that. So yes, I do. And I do have full-on conversations in my head, 2 characters. And very often it's when I'm washing my hair.
Oh.
Honestly, yeah, I'm washing my, oh yeah. And then they said, and then he said, and then she said. It's really weird. And then I've got to get out of the shower and quickly write something down. So yeah, I love writing dialogue. It's one of my favorite things. So that is such a lovely compliment. Thank you. I love writing dialogue. It's so much fun because you get the banter. But when I first started writing, I took this writing course. It was an online one with an British agency, Curtis Brown, and they have this writing school. And I had to send in 3,000 words or whatever. And the teacher, we had this Zoom or Skype or whatever the heck it was. And he said, so, Hannah, your dialogue's very clear. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And he said, no. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's very precise and it's very clear. And he said, we don't talk like that. People interrupt each other all the time. You get good words and everything, just rough it up a bit.
Rough it up.
You know, make each other, we don't always understand what the other person was trying to say. We misinterpret, right? It's perception. You know, I remember one of my business coaches saying, because somebody had there was a thing during a meeting and I was trying to understand what happened. And my business coach said, Hannah, it's not what you intended to say that matters. It's how it was perceived. And I said, no, but wait, that's not what I meant. He said, Hannah, once again, perception, that is what's at stake here. Yeah. That is why this and that helped as well. So yeah, so you just have to rough things up a bit, you know, misunderstandings and interruptions and with dialogue too, unless you're at an event like this and I'm just going on and on and on, you don't generally have monologues, right? You break it up a bit. So there's various tricks of the trade.
Rough it up.
Rough it up, yeah.
Messy dialogue.
When you're plotting out your books, have you ever started with how you want a book to end? And if yes, have you had those roadblocks of trying to figure out, okay, how does it begin? How does the middle happen to get to that ending that you started with and that you truly want?
I'm not sure. I wonder. Just thinking. I think with Never Coming Home, that's the hitman one. Well, the hitman isn't in the book, but the guy who hires a hitman. I remember, I don't know if the beginning came first. No, I think it was probably the ending. And you know what it was? It was the last word. I knew precisely what the last word was going to be of that book. And it's that word, almost, of a variation thereof. And then I think I went back figuring out, because it was very character-driven, that one, because I took Leo to see The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie, and I love Guy Ritchie. Yeah. I love his movies. And we're laughing, I'm thinking, how does he make me want these bad people to get away with stuff? And can I do that? Challenge, right? Can I do that? So that's really where that one came from. I thought, well, what character could I have? And then the character came, and then what situation will he be in at the end? And in terms of roadblocks, I can spend a lot of time plotting. I knew with A Killer Motive what the ending would be. I always know the beginning and the end. That's how I start plotting. I know the beginning, and I have to know the end, or think I know the end. It might then move. But that gives me an arc. So I know, so okay, so I've got to get this character who's in this situation over here. Now, what do I do for the other 320 pages? Yeah, I mean, you know, the one I'm working on now, I outlined and I got to the middle, and then I was telling Sydney as we were driving down, you know, I had to re-outline the second half twice, because what I thought would work. The ending is the same. The ending will not change. I know exactly what the ending is, but how to get there just wasn't working. So I just went back to the drawing board and started that bit again.
Ah, yes. Oh, two, one and then two.
Speaking of getting people to like characters that are awful, are you Hannah Madison or Susan? I know that's hard to answer without spoilers.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Oh, that's.
they're pretty horrible.
People. Yeah.
But do you understand them? I hope so.
I think so.
Yeah. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Vienna. Yeah, I do. I really do. Yeah, and that's probably not the right answer, but I like Madison too. I like them both. I just really wanted to give them a hug, because that's really what they needed. Honestly,
Yeah.
I wanted to be the mum and go, it's going to be there. It's going to be okay. Just don't kill me.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever had that question before, but I love that. Thank you.
Well done.
Do you write every day? And if so, do you have a minimum word count that you try to achieve?
I don't write every day. Typically, I don't write Saturday and Sunday. I take the weekend off, typically. So this is in the initial drafting stage. So I do have a word count. It's anywhere up to 3,000. Has been as much as 5, but that's on a, you know, I don't know what I had for dinner the day before that made me do that. But typically it's between 2,000 and 3,000. But what I'll do is, once I've got my outline and I know the day I'm going to start writing, I get my diary out and I have a look at what I've got going on, what I've got coming up, and what can I fit in reasonably into that day. And that is then my word count. And then by hook or by crook, I've got to get there. And that's what I need to do. So it's kind of I'll have my list, and then sometimes things derail because, you know, life. But when I'm editing, especially when I'm getting close to done, I'm so in the book that I'll just, you know, they're bringing me sandwiches and, Mom, you ever going to cook again? No, leave me alone. No, they're very, very supportive. So I always say to the lads and Rob, you know, I'm done. Regular service will resume as of Monday, because typically Rob's an electrician. Typically I cook during the Monday to Thursday. I'll cook. The boys are older now, so it's a bit different. And then Rob takes the Friday, Saturday, Sunday shift. So we do it that way. Yeah. Although, you know, they do their own laundry, but it used to be, you know, laundry whenever I've got time. You know, like. That kind of thing. But not every day, because I need a break too. But I'll read every day, typically. Not my own stuff, I mean other people.
Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 more questions. Let's start here. And then Shannon, another one of our staff, has popped in the back there. But start here.
When you're writing, and your characters, do you come up with a character first and maybe you've seen them somewhere on the street or somewhere in your life? Or do you come up with a story idea? Like what first comes to your mind?
Typically, it's a situation. So it would be the amnesia one. You will remember me. It was somebody waking up on a beach and they don't know who they are and they don't know how they got there. But that actually came from. Does anyone remember the story of a firefighter from Toronto who went missing in Lake Placid? Do you remember that? He just disappeared. So he's skiing there, and he just vanishes. They can't find him. And 6 days later, he shows up in Sacramento, other side of the country, wearing his ski gear. And I think he had a credit card in his pocket, and he remembered his wife's number, and he calls his wife, and she's, of course, you know,
Yes.
frantic because they thought he died on the mountain. They thought he just froze to death or whatever, and they'd find him in the spring or something. I don't know, it was awful. And it turned out that they don't know what happened, but he probably fell and hit his head and woke up and had amnesia. I remember thinking, wow, you know, what would happen? So he got home and everything's fine and all, you know, but what happens if you are returned in that state to someone you actually tried to get away from? Oh. And you don't know that they do not have your best interests at heart, but only their own. And you have to trust them.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to trust what they say, that what they say is true. You know, what a nightmare. You know, so Sister Dear, that's with the Bio family, Bio Dad. It was an article, this little segment on CBC Radio, where somebody had found a ring at a playground and was looking for the rightful owner, and through social media. I thought, oh, that's so nice. What could go wrong? Well, what could go wrong if they find the rightful owner and they have a much better life than them, and they get jealous and they try and infiltrate, and that became Sister Dear. And there is a scene, quite a pivotal one, with a ring actually. And that came from there. So it's very often it's situations, and the character comes very quickly afterwards. Who's telling this story? Rhea and I have to tell this story. Rhea and I, we met at a gas station.
Oh.
When my husband and I were here on a recce in 2009 to have a look around, and we saw Rhea, and she's a realtor, and we were looking, and then we went and had a look at houses. And when we moved here, we arrive at this house that my husband came over for a week to find a house, found one in Oakville, that Rhea helped us find. And we arrive, and there were balloons, there were beds, the beds were made, there wasn't our furniture, bath mats,
Wow.
peanut butter. I swear, she's awesome, it was amazing. From Switzerland, I know, imagine that, it was fantastic. Yeah, 3 little kids.
Peanut butter.
Yeah, I think crunchy and smooth, actually. I think you got us both.
That's brilliant.
I'll never forget that, that was awesome.
Shannon had a question.
Just a question about when you have different POVs for like each chapter.
Yes.
Do you write all of like this guy's stuff and then write her stuff, or do you flip flop back and forth? Like how does that? I know when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh. Yeah, I just wondered.
I've done both, kind of. I think with You Will Remember Me, where there are 3, I tried to do one after the other, and that worked for a time, and then it didn't. So I would write some of one and then some of the other. And then, well, it's slightly different, but in Only One Survives, it's a dual timeline. So we've got past, present. And I wrote linear, particularly in the first half, linear, and then everything from past to current day, or present day. And then I wrote the present day chapters, chopped them up and wove them in. That's how that worked for me. Mary Kubica, brilliant author, thriller author, she doesn't outline. She told this story, my head exploded. She doesn't outline at all. She just starts writing. She has an idea and off she goes. And she writes multiple characters. So she doesn't outline, and she writes one character, and then the second, and then the third, and then she weaves it. Yeah. And she's brilliant, and I could not do that.
A mental wilt.
Yeah, honestly.
Whoa,
yeah.
yeah.
But outlining it, I'll do them at the same kind of what happens to this character, and then here, and then this one. So that helps me a lot. Yeah.
Spectacular. Well, as we're coming down to time, we can get up and move around, and certainly photographs are permitted with the author.
No photograph.
Back away.
Photographs are welcome. Yeah.
Yes,
of course.
here we go.
Yeah.
Because we want to know more from you, the attendees of this program, what you liked about it and what we could do more of. we have over there in the corner just a quick little evaluation about our evening together, because Jennifer and I work on developing programs for the library system, so we want to hear from you. It'd be wonderful. And we have Catherine over here from Firefly and Fox. So I'll give an overview, but then you can do the details, because there were books to be here for you to purchase and have signed. But Catherine, what happened?
Logistics.
What happened? Logistics.
So the short answer, we apologize that we don't have them here. They are arriving soon. And anyone who would like to order books, we're happy to have them for you at the store. We're happy to deliver them to you as an apology for them not being here. And Hannah Mary has graciously said that she will send signed book plates for them. So they will still be signed, and you can let her know how you would like her to inscribe them. And she will do that, and so they all have signed book plates.
Yes.
Right. So make your way to speak with Hannah Mary, but also pop over to Catherine. She has a list there to take your contact information and ensure that when the books, they're on their way.
Yes.
They're on the way.
Yeah,
They should be here. And then she can connect with you to get you the books that you'd like to purchase for today with that special. And thank you for that. What a wonderful
Of course.
gesture.
Oh, no problem
Wonderful
at all.
gesture.
And they're self-adhesive, so you can just bloop, stick them in the book.
Do that again. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I like the bloop. I like the bloop. Well, thank you very much for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming and enjoying the evening. It was very insightful. I did have a lot more questions, but I had to hold back.
to let people go home.
We could be here till midnight with the questions. But thanks for your time.
Oh, my
And
pleasure.
wonderful insights. Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great. Yes, it was very good.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. She's going to stop the stream
Yes.
now. Okay. Bye. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, the